$3.3 trillion. Laughable. It's laughable. So I want to give a couple of different visuals here of just how much 3.3 trillion is. So I like this one. I mean, there's an old saying. Maybe I'll start with this one, and it is the difference between a million and a billion is basically a billion, and the difference between a billion and a trillion is basically a trillion. But if you look at it time-wise, 1 million seconds ago was a couple weeks ago, 1.5 weeks ago, June 19th, 2025. That's 1 million seconds ago. 1 billion seconds ago was a little bit further back in the 80s. Shout out to all the 80s babies out there. November 1983 was 1 billion seconds ago. So, I mean, there's a pretty big spread there. But when we get into the trillions, this is where it gets kind of insane. So 1 trillion seconds ago was 29,663 BC. I'm pretty sure the world was under ice at that time. And according to Perplexity, humans didn't know how to write at that time. So that was 1 trillion seconds ago. Trillion. I also wanted to demonstrate it this way. I typed out a bunch of millions here. And this didn't take me as long as you think, thanks to copy and paste. One of the things that makes Bitcoin pretty sneaky easy, copy and paste. But I put in a bunch of 1 millions here. And if you think about this yourself in your own life, and think about, like, at some point, maybe you had the most amount of money in your bank account. It might have been $20,000. It might have been $2,000. It might have been $200,000. But I'm guessing most people watching this have never seen $1 million in their bank account. So these are all millions. So what I'm trying to say there is think about how difficult that is and how unnecessary really it is that you survive this long without anywhere near that amount in your life. So these are all millions. And if we keep scrolling down here, these are all millions. I'm actually going to zoom out instead of zoom in here because this is going to take a little while here. So I'm going to keep going. These are all 1 millions. $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. I might have to speed up the scroller here a little bit. These are all $1 million. And if we keep going, a little bit more, I think we're coming to the end here. There it is. Do you know what that was? That was 1 billion. 1 billion. So you take that times 2, and that'd be 2 billion. And then you take it by times 3, and that's 3 billion. And then you take that by 1,000, and that's 1 trillion. And then you times all that, this by 2, this by 3, this by 1,000, and then you times that by 3, and that'll get you to $3.3 trillion, which is the amount of money that the US government is about to create. I shouldn't say create, add to the debt. So a couple weeks ago, the US government hit $37 trillion. Like, just stop there. $37 trillion. We just looked at the spreadsheets there. We talked about 29,663 BC. The US government has gone into $37 trillion worth of debt, and it's not slowing down. It's not slowing down. That's a crazy part. And unfortunately, there's a lot of baby boomers out there right now who are retiring. And if you work for 40 years and the government prints 40% of the total money supply in history, that means you basically work for about 17 or 18 years for free. All of that. Imagine 17 or 18 years of your life. You just worked for nothing, essentially, because they created that much money and they're about to create more, and they devalued your life. And you should be pretty pissed off about that, I would say. And I'm going to tell you a couple different things here. But before we do, I want to take a quick little stop here. And if you're watching this on the 365 Days of Bitcoin course right now, I usually start them a little bit differently. So you might be in for a bit of a surprise, I guess. But I'm going to be sharing this on 365 and YouTube. So I've been doing a Bitcoin video every day for 100. This is day 180. So since January 1st, 2025, I've been doing about a 10 or 15-minute video about Bitcoin. Some things about security, some things about managing your private keys, your UTXOs, things to watch out for, mistakes I've made. But then I do a lot of stuff like this, like thought experiment and helping people really understand the need for an asset like Bitcoin. And you know, I was listening to a Jack Mahler's show yesterday. He does a Mailbag Monday every week. And if you're someone new to Bitcoin, I would encourage you to check out the weekly show. He does a lot of really good explanations about the system, the finance, the situation we're in, and why Bitcoin is the cure for it. But he mentioned yesterday something about Bitcoin being a peaceful way to protest, right? Because your government's about to create $3.3 trillion worth of additional debt. Our kids and their kids and their kids are expected to cover that for some reason. Essentially, what they're doing is they're spending and they're using the kids of the future. They're the ones who are going to have to make that back somehow. But we know it's it's a dead end road. And I actually think that in the next couple of years here, the Federal Reserve, the ones who create all this money and we can take debt from, I think they're going to disappear. And I think it's been in the cards for a very long time. I think Bitcoin's the only thing that can accomplish that without a lot of violence. But it is a peaceful protest. And if you are somebody, a citizen of a country who's doing this exact same thing, your government's doing this exact same thing, it might be to a different magnitude, but everybody's going through the same kind of thing right now. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of things that we can do. We can try to vote our way out of it, but we've seen how that goes. We can try to stand outside of the government buildings with picket signs and see how that goes. Nothing works. And we don't want to get violent. I don't think that that's the answer. And I don't think that, especially here in Canada, we wouldn't win that fight. But there is a way. There's a way to peacefully protest the money printer, and that is Bitcoin. I think it's two things, actually. I think the first thing that you can do is actually get into precious metals like silver or gold, because once you see it, you really can't unsee it. Once you understand that the world that we live in and the units that measure the productivity, the assets, both utility and non-utility of this world, they're just made up units. There's nothing backing it. They're totally illusionary. And once you come to that understanding of things here, you're like, what the hell is going on? And that's exactly what happened to me back in 2020, where I started going very heavily into silver. I realized the dollar was broken, could not be fixed, laughable. That's kind of what I started this video with. And I started buying silver. And I thought that was the best way to protect my energy, my purchasing power into the future without having to worry about how much money that they're going to print. So silver and gold, I think, are great alternatives here to the dollar instead of holding your currency or even the US dollar. But from there, that's when you learn about Bitcoin. So you kind of go through a little transition there. I did anyways, from completely blind to what's going on to I need some hard assets like silver and gold because I can hold them. And then you realize that maybe you don't want to hold them. Maybe you want them to be encrypted. Maybe you want to hold assets that no matter how much force your opponent, your enemy has, they can't take that from you. And Bitcoin is the only asset that you can truly own. Gold would be the second, but keep in mind here, if you had a bunch of gold in your basement and somebody more powerful than you comes along, they now have your gold. If you protect your Bitcoin properly using things like encryption, geographically dispersed, and you know what you're doing, you have the process down, you can actually set it up where you eliminate the violence. You really raise the cost of violence and make it impossible, even if somebody wanted to. The only way that they can ensure that they won't get your Bitcoin in that sense is to kill you. So it's the only asset that you can truly own. So you go from fiat to gold and silver, hard assets, and then you find your way to Bitcoin. And so the reason why this is peaceful is because, again, you don't have to fight. You don't have to protest. You don't have to vote. You can just say, you know what? You can print as many of these units as you want to. It doesn't matter. I'm going to store my time, my energy, my wealth in Bitcoin. And the more that you print, the more this value is going to go up a Bitcoin. I'm not going to be impacted by your money printer anymore. And if you live in a place, I live in Canada here, and it's kind of crazy and shitty to say maybe, but like for the last couple of years of my life, Well, I'm looking around me and I'm seeing everybody else struggle. Everybody else's groceries are getting more expensive. Everybody's rent's getting more expensive. Their utility bills are going up and up and up. And for me, because I store my time and energy in Bitcoin, everything's actually been getting much cheaper. I know it's crazy to say that and even to think in that way, but it's true. I pretty much every time I make $1 or earn $1, I convert it into Bitcoin. And because the purchasing power has been going up, everything around me has actually been getting cheaper in a very inflationary environment here. But that's just one component of it, right? That's not the only reason why this thing's going up. It's going up because they're printing dollars. That's only one part of it, though. The second part is actually the demand for it. So once people come to this realization of the dollar's broken, I'm going to get some gold and silver, but there's a better hard asset, which is Bitcoin. And as more and more people learn that, which is happening every single day here, the demand for Bitcoin goes up. And the amount of people, the demand, who are fighting over those 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis increases. And when there's more people fighting for a scarce bottom line Satoshis, the value of those Satoshis go up. And so we're kind of moving right now. Bitcoin started as a collectible for the first 10 years of its history. And we're kind of at the store of value stage right now. That's what everybody's talking about. Bitcoin is a good store of value, which it is. It's the best battery that has ever existed in human history before. You take some Bitcoin, you send it to a wallet, whatever amount you send there is going to be there in 100 years. There's zero leaks in this battery. But that's not it, right? The next thing is going to be to a medium of exchange. So collectible, store of value, medium of exchange, which is probably coming soon. We've seen places like Steak and Shake in the US who have started accepting Bitcoin. Business owners eventually, once they come to this realization that these dollars are worthless, they're going to not only start accepting Bitcoin, but they're actually going to start demanding Bitcoin. So then it becomes a medium of exchange. And then finally, we get to a unit of account where every single asset on this planet, houses, cars, boats, acres, buildings, every single thing, laptops, phones, everything is going to be measured in Satoshis. And because there's only so many of those Satoshis, the value of them will go up forever. As we move into this world of abundance with AI and technology and robots, there's going to be so much stuff out there. And we're going to have to measure all that in Satoshis. So we're going to have an abundance of things and a scarcity of money. And so if you don't really understand a few things that I'm saying here, I do encourage you to take some time and to study Bitcoin. And honestly, I kind of promoted it earlier in this clip here, but 365 days of Bitcoin, if you go through that course and you watch those videos every single day, they're short, 10 or 15 minutes long, but you're going to have a very good understanding of Bitcoin. You're going to be able to better protect your Bitcoin. And at the end of the day, you need conviction here because this thing's going to go up. It's going to go down. It's going to be very volatile for a while. And you want to make sure that you have a community of people that you can talk to about it, to learn from and grow with. But you also want to have the conviction there. And I think that the only way to build that is through time and actual effort, studying. So I'm going to leave a link in the pinned comments here if you want to join that. It's $21 a month, almost laughable for the amount of value. 180 videos. You sign up today, you're going to get 180 videos. Again, talking about security, talking about private keys, talking about multi-sigs, talking about all these different ways that you can actually protect your Bitcoin that most people are completely oblivious to, which is going to be a superpower in the future. So that is what I got for you today. Again, this channel here, we don't have any sponsors. We never will have any sponsors. If you learned anything, if you got any value from this, if you want me to keep going with what I'm doing here, you can actually send some scarce units called Satoshis. This is for the Bitcoiners who are watching. And for everybody else, hopefully you get that one day. You get a Lightning wallet, you start sending sats around, you start storing your time and energy in Satoshis, and you're going to be able to benefit from what's playing out here. So I hope you have an amazing day. It is Canada Day here in where I'm from, in Canada. And so to the Canadians out there, happy Canada Day. To the Americans out there, happy 4th of July in a couple days from now. And just enjoy it. Summer's short, especially where I'm from. And so get outside and touch some grass. Because the only thing more scarce than Satoshis on this planet is time. So Have yourselves an amazing day, and we will talk to you on the next one. Bye-bye.